That first exposure to Rus pointed me in a fresh direction. I was still unclear as to what it meant, but as time went by I was to discover a new foundation for Christian service. I was struggling with my narrow view of the gospel. All I had was empty words. Like the pastor who prayed one Sunday, "Father, this morning we remember the poor, the sick and the needy, and trust that in the remembering we have fulfilled our responsibilities to them." Then Harold Henderson encouraged me. Think about Jesus' words in Luke 4. "The Spirit has anointed me to preach good news to the poor." Find out what they mean for your situation, he suggested. I was seeing many people living on the edge of survival, people pressed by circumstances beyond their control. I had no message for them. My evangelical words seemed empty. So I really struggled to know, what was the good news that Jesus had for the poor? It seemed like it had to be more than just words. I realised that Jesus did much more than speak. Maybe the good news was also about doing. Then I went to the highlands of Irian Jaya. There I found the church, but not the kingdom. There were thousands of believers. However, God's love was not making enough of a difference in their daily life. Despite the hard work and love of the missionaries, hundreds of Dani families struggled with health problems, educational needs, and physical survival. They were rapidly moving out of the Stone Age into the 20th century, but without adequate preparation for the challenges ahead. I realised the depth of the problem when my wife saw this slide and burst into tears. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Look," she said, "he's got the teeth of an 8-year-old, but the body of a 5-year-old. This child is never likely to fulfil its potential in society, no matter whether he becomes a farmer, a teacher or a pastor." That was a tragedy in an area that grew abundant food. Much of it was sold to the missionaries or in the market and not eaten by the people. That trip gave me a vision of change. Change that integrated the physical with the spiritual. I began to see that the good news had to be lived out. It couldn't just be assented to. The other important experience was my visit to World Vision's first community development project. To reach the area, we walked through over 100 rivers and creeks. We took 4 days to cover 35 kilometres. The young couple who lived with the community had an impressive array of activities. But it was costing lots of money, and the people were becoming dependent upon the outsiders for the action. Nias, the worker, went away for training. Then he returned to the community and changed his role. He changed from being a patron who did impressive things to one who worked with the people to overcome their problems. I learned 2 important ideas from that visit. Firstly, when someone lives with you and is a friend in time of trouble, goodwill results. Everyone appreciated Nias. One leader told me they could place workers like him in 16 other villages. Secondly, despite the poor understanding of development that Nias and his family had, they had shared their faith with a small group who were now meeting together. You know, white missionaries weren't allowed in that area, but Nias could talk openly because of the relationships that he had built. Well, it was these experiences that helped my search for understanding and changed my life. In 1979, I joined World Vision. Some of my friends questioned the wisdom of this move. Was I handing in my valuable missionary visa in order to become a social worker? Why was I leaving the Lord's work? Wasn't theological training more important than development work? Was this a mature decision? Others were struggling with the same questions. World Vision had started development projects in the highlands of Irian Jaya. The only way to get materials into the area was by plane, mostly the small plane of the Missionary Aviation Fellowship. Pilots were involved in a great debate. Are we a mission or a development agency? Does the Missionary Aviation Fellowship fly pigs as well as people? Pigs are central to the Dani culture and therefore a symbol of development. One pilot resigned and went home, but another showed his support on his letterhead. These questions made me do my homework. I needed a biblical rationale for what I was seeing. So I put together some ideas on the place of development in mission, based on the creation story, the life of Israel, and the ministry of Christ. I shared these insights with my friends. I taught them in courses. They were received with a lot of interest. It was challenging to see how all of a sudden the Bible had a lot to say about letting God affect our daily lives. Because of my struggle, I was now reading the Bible with different eyes. Then I read Christopher Wright's book, Living as the People of God. In America it's titled An Eye for an Eye. You'll find a review of it in the study guide. From this book, I discovered a brilliant graphic way of representing the ideas that I was teaching.
Hi, John.
Hello, everybody. We're looking at how God, people, and deeds are connected. I want you to really think about this diagram. Share just whatever you think of when you first see it, no matter how basic your comment seems to be. Then discuss the 3 points. The triangle shows that each point is connected to the other 2. On the left-hand side, what is it that connects God with people? How is that connection expressed? On the right-hand side, what is the connection between God and the earth? What links them? And along the base, how are people and the earth connected? What do you know about that connection? Then decide on where this concept of the triangle and the 3 connections is first found in the Bible.